So hello everyone and welcome back to another episode in the greenhouse. So the weather's not too great outside at the moment, and what I wanted to do, as I've mentioned in a previous video, is start getting my greenhouse grow room set up. It's an idea that I've kind of taken from Terry King. Pop along and have a look at his. His is far better than mine's ever going to be, but mine I'm kind of making in a limited space. So I'll show you where I'm going to be building it, and I'll start clearing the mess out of the way to start with. So here we are, this is inside the greenhouse. As you might remember, inside this greenhouse I've got two shelves set up on either side, and on this side at the moment it's home to my tomato plants. So I built these in such a way that I can have trays on here to start seedlings off, take them off, and then allow the plants to grow through. Now obviously these are getting towards the end of their life, these tomatoes now. We've got some decent red tomatoes in there. We've got some of the black cherries as well, and we've also got some of the Costolito Florentino tomatoes coming up here. And these are all in these self-watering pots, which is fed from over there in the water butt. Now my plan is this side, because it gets less sun on this side, because it's blocked off at that side, I'm going to turn the underside of these two shelves into a greenhouse grow room. I've got a light put in there, and the plan is I'm going to feed some electrical cabling in from the shed into here, and in here I'm going to have a waterproof, I haven't decided whether I'm going to get a waterproof socket to put in there or whether I'm going to have an extension cable going into a waterproof box. And the idea is behind there I can have that set up, and I can also have some form of heating set up in there as well. And it's going to come all the way down to the floor as well. And the idea being that heating can probably actually warm the greenhouse a little as well, and under here we'll have the lights to start growing stuff off in. So first thing for me to do is get all of this cleared and get the stuff outside. And there we go, as if by magic, all of those trays and plants are now gone. So you can see we've opened this space up massively, and the idea is that this level here is going to form the ceiling to the grow room, and these two areas here are going to form the grow room. What I have decided I'm going to do is I'm going to give this all a coat of Crea coat, just to start preserving this wood. So whilst it's been in here, it's had plenty of opportunities to air, but what I'm worried about is when we've got the grow room in there, it might become a little bit humid in there, and we might end up with some rotting to this wood. And the plan will be eventually this year is to get everything in here Crea coated as well. And there we go, that's that all Crea coated up. I know it's very, very dark at the moment, but it's actually the same colour as on the walls. So hopefully it should fade down a little bit and look a bit nicer. So the plan then, probably tomorrow when this is dried, I'll be putting a wooden top along all of this, which will form the ceiling on the inside of the grow room. I'll be doing a couple of wooden bars across here as well, which the grow lights will hang off of. And I will be putting a wooden side down here to make it kind of a wall as well. Not quite sure what the plan is at this end yet. I will be probably putting a little shelf in at the end to put electric cables on to supply the lights, and I may well underneath there put in a little heater, which I may well get a little thermostat to control as well. But that'll be to sort of plan as I get a bit closer. I'm kind of making this up as I go along. I've not got a grand plan as such. I've got it in my mind what I kind of want it to look like, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. So I'm going to let this dry and I'll get back to doing this tomorrow. So hello again everyone, and welcome back to day 2 of the greenhouse grow room construction. You may remember yesterday it was a fairly unexciting day, so we've taken all the plants out of here and we've now clear coated the top, all of the wood that's going to be integral to the grow room. I had hoped it would be dry today. It's not, but I'm going to crack on regardless because I want to get it done. So the next thing that I'm going to do is put some struts in here that are going to hold the grow light in place. So what I've done is I've measured out where 2 struts are going to go on this side, because I think the light that I've got is not going to cover the entire grow room. I've got an old one that I don't know how much copper it is, I'm going to use for the other end, but this end I'm going to use the new Garpson one that I've got. So what I've done is I've measured out where that's going to go, and what I'm going to do is underneath, see if here it'll be easier, is put some struts underneath which the lights are going to hang off of. So I have measured where these are going to go, so I'm just going to get some holes drilled and get these put in place at this end to start with. Right, and there we go, that's 4 of those in place. They're solid, and if anything it strengthened this structure as well, because this one was only actually held on at either end. It's still strong, but now it's got beams going across that are attached to the frame of the greenhouse, so this is going to be solid. So I think the next plan is going to be to get these painted up, and then we'll look at putting the top on. So one of the other things I thought I'd do before I get clear coating these bits up here is get some of the insulation down under here. So you may remember many months ago I put insulation on the walls here to try and reflect some of the light, because there's no light that gets in through that side. I didn't do this section down here because this was kind of used just as storage. So what I'm now going to do is, before I get clear coating, is stick a bit more insulation down there just to keep that wall nicely insulated and try and keep some of the warm in. I will then use some other insulating material for the rest. So we're getting there. We've got the struts now clear coated. So my next plan, whilst all that is drying, is to get the worktop for the top done. So I'm making this out of the OSB board that you see here. Slightly more expensive than the MDF, but I think is slightly more hard wearing and better suited to this, where there might be a little bit of damp. So I believe the MDF stuff can kind of come apart in the wet. A little bit more expensive, but nothing horrific. So the plan with this is the underside is going to be covered in a reflective material that's both thermal reflective and light reflective. So what I'm going to be using is some of these thermal reflective blankets, so the 4 blankets that you see people wearing after marathons and things like that. Really cheap. I think these cost about £1 each on eBay, Amazon. Really easy to get hold of. And for your £1 you get a 204cm by 140cm blanket. So a really long piece of material. So what I've done is I have, for this part, cut down a small section, which I will be stapling onto here. Now it is quite important to be careful with this when you put it on. I have found that it tears really easily, so I have previously tried to staple one on here and cut whilst it was on here, but it just tore at the staples. So as I say, the plan is going to be to staple this down, have a little trim up if it needs it, but I'm going to be really delicate once it is stapled on. So I'm just going to make sure I've got some staples in my staple gun. There we go, and we'll get a staple in. go, there's our reflective panel. So, as I say, it's very delicate, so it's going to be a case of trying to trim this off as neatly as I can at the edges without pulling too much on the foil. So there we go, that is the top in position. It's not screwed in yet, but I thought what I'd do is have a little show underneath. As you can see, we've got foil running all the way underneath, which reflects the light really well and should hopefully reduce any heat or light loss through the top of this. So hello everyone and welcome back, and this is probably day 3 of this project now. I did a few little bits here and there, adding to what we saw in the previous videos, so I'll give you a quick show of what we've done and explain a bit about where I'm going now. So firstly, as we can see, we've got that top on, which I'm now using as a bit of a workbench as I do the rest of this. Coming down here at this end, we've now got board and reflective material on there. There are some little gaps which are going to be ventilation. Depending on how much light escapes out of there, I may cover particularly the top one up with foil between the two, but I may not. Also, what I've done along here is I've added a strut upwards here. I'm going to do the same on the other side to block this area off. I've added a strut in the middle here, and I've added a board along the floor. I've also added a board on here. My original plan was to have doors for the top half and bottom half, but I realised that either this would have to lift upwards and get in the way, or come downwards and be in the way. So I thought I would do the bottom ones of these as solid. Obviously I've clear coated these and have foiled the inside as well to make it reflective. So yeah, I'm going to do another one of those here, and then do 2 doors that fold downwards at the top, hopefully downwards enough that they will then rest against this board here. So I've been out here a little while trying to work out what I was going to do at the other end, so I'll give you a quick show of what I've done down there, and I've got a few other bits and bobs to do today, so that's going to be it for me today, but I will be tagging on what I do in the next few days all into one long video, rather than you having to watch 10 different videos. So let's have a quick look at what I've been up to today. So let's come down underneath. So I've not done anything at the other end. I've added a new leg here to support this, and what I will do is I'll be blocking this area off here. So this will here essentially be the edge of the garden grow room, and I'll have a little cupboard in here to put the electrics, to supply the lights, and possibly also use it as a storage area, because I have got bits that I need to store in here. And what I've done at the end is I've put this in place, because we've got the window the other side of that. Obviously it's not completely kind of light proof. I will put some filler along the middle of those, and along the bottom to block any light out. The idea of that is also I don't want all the light from down here shining out and making it look like I'm growing things that I shouldn't be in my greenhouse. And there we go, that's what it looks like from the outside. I was a little tempted to put this on do some of this on the outside as well, but I thought I would rather keep it as it is so it looks even with the other side. So hello again everyone, it's the next day and I'm back doing the greenhouse grow room. As you can tell, it's tipping down with rain outside, and I've got a tiny little leak in here and I'm getting dripped on. So I thought what I'd do today is just show you what I've done so far. It's a project that's kind of going to take several days. A, because I'm working it out as I go along, and B, the amount of time it takes to cut wood, find places to put it, paint stuff up. It just means it takes a little while. So I'll show you what we've got so far and talk about what the plans are. So here we go, you can see so far that the workbench is up in here already, and I'm putting it to good use with all the tools and stuff that I'm using. Meant I've got somewhere to put my iPad as well, so I can catch up on some of my YouTube videos. I've been watching a variety of different people because it's taken a while. So I've been watching Terry King, I've been watching Muddy Boots, Sean Cameron, Tony C. Smith, and at the moment we're going through Joe Mills on Digging for Dinner. I'm catching up because I'm quite a way behind on everyone's videos. But anyway, so what have I done since yesterday? So this panel is I've just painted. That's going to go down in the corner here. So that's going to go on here, and that's going to basically enclose this little area in here. That's going to be where I put the electrical box. So that's going to have an extension cable with the power to the lights in here. And I've also blocked this bit off down here too. And the reason I've blocked this off rather than use all the space is, as I'm sure you know, there's a little bit further going down here. I have my hot bin composter in here, and that sits right in front of here. So it's an area that I've never really used, and I want to keep this hot bin composter in here. I think it just provides a little bit more protection from the cold, and actually if I get it up to a reasonable enough temperature, we may get an extra degree of heat in the greenhouse. So I've got panels to go on here now, and then it'll be a case of putting on the doors and this final panel, making sure it's all lined, which at the moment I'm doing it panel by panel as we go around, and then getting the lights in. So I'm going to get on with putting this on and seeing how far I get today, but I think that panel will probably be the last bit that I get done today. So I'm back in. It's been about a week since I've been here because I've been off in Wales for a training course, so I thought I'd come back and get the basic wiring in ready for this greenhouse grow room. So I'll show you where the wiring runs at the moment. So at the moment you can see we've got that little cubby hole down here that we've made ready for the wiring. I have got the cabling run through, and this will all sit in this waterproof box inside here just to protect the cable. Now that cable runs down the back of the little shelf in here and comes out behind where the compost bin will be, and I'll just walk you around and show you where that comes out. And down here you can see we've got the cable. It is an outdoor cable, so it should be absolutely fine under here in the wet. It comes through here. I'll be siliconing around that just to waterproof it, and through here into the shed where it's plugged in. So the next thing to look at is how this is going to be attached to the underside of this worktop. So the system we've got on these, we've got these plastic coated wires which hold the light up, and these little bits here are adjustable and tightenable, so you can move them up and down the light. Then we have this, which gets attached to the underside of the supports in here, and we'll have this screw that runs through there to hold it in. And then the next bit we have is this, which the wire goes into. There's the little gold bit on here, screws up to tighten the wire in place, and then that screws into the underside of here with the cable coming out of the top there. So I'm going to get those in place. It's going to be really difficult for me to film, so I'll just show you the finished product. So here we go, this is the light fixed into position. As you can see, we've got those fixings up there, and we've got the cable coming down. We can change the height of this. I think I have to unscrew this and loosen it a little bit, which as I plant plants I may decide to move them down a bit. You can pull them up whilst it's tightened like this, but loosening them down it won't let you. Let's quickly turn it on, and as you can see you get a fair amount of light coming in here. Obviously the lower it is to the plants, the better the light will be, and of course we're going to have the front covered over as well, so all that light is going to be reflecting around in there. So hello again everyone, I thought I'd just round off the greenhouse grow room build video. I've done a fair few little bits since the last clips of video that I filmed, but it would have been quite difficult to film these just because of how the greenhouse grow room is built. So I thought I'd give you a quick little show of what I've done and let you know the plans for the future with it. So as you can see, we've now got the front fully boarded off. I have made the top half doors which you can open. There we go. as you can see, they're mirrored on the back, and I've put in these little magnetic catches to hold the door shut, and both sides open. So let's turn the light on, you can see what it looks like. So we've got the Garpson T5 light up here, which looks like it's actually doing a really good job. The issue I have is because this is so long, I ideally need 2 lights to go on here. Although I am looking at another light which I might possibly buy instead, which is a lot more powerful and, to be fair, a lot more expensive, which hopefully if I put it in the middle would give enough light for the whole thing. You might also see in here we've got a little temperature probe hanging down. This links up to this on here. This is a thermostat. It's got Wi-Fi on it, so I can control it from my phone in the house as well. And I can set maximum minimum temperatures on that, and it will alarm if it goes outside of those, both on there and on my phone. That thermostat is then plugged into this heater down the bottom, which actually heats this up really, really quickly. It's a fairly low power heater, but because we've got all the insulation in here, it just bounces the heat around. Up this end, you may remember from previous clips, I put a little door on here, and then in here we've got all of our electrical cabling and things, which is plugged into the shed. And yeah, plenty of room in here. So my plans probably will be, as I said, to get the bigger light in there, and then that'll leave me with this light spare up here. And I may turn this area into a unheated, for the beginning part, an unheated kind of propagation area with that light. What I also plan to do is probably, as I start seeds off, I'll probably be putting them on this ledge here. That way we get the heat coming from below, and the light is fairly close. And then as things get bigger and put into other pots, I'll probably put them down towards the bottom. But there we go, that's kind of the greenhouse grow room. So there we go, that is the greenhouse grow room build finished for now. Hopefully it's been useful for everyone. I can't take all the credit for coming up with the idea. Many of you have probably seen Terry King's greenhouse grow room. That's kind of where I got my idea from. I've kind of tried to copy and emulate it in my own way, with some of my own ideas and some of his. But I think this will work for me. So hopefully it'll be helpful for anyone else that's thinking of experimenting with a grow room. But yeah, what I'll do is I'll put links to any of the items I've used, such as the thermostat and the heater and the light. And hopefully that'll be useful to people. If you have got any ideas which you think would be useful for me, drop me a comment on here or Instagram, Facebook, wherever you normally leave your comments. And I'll hopefully use some of your ideas to make the project better. So thank you for watching. Take care. Happy allotmenting.